The more absurd a project sounds, the more likely I am to say yes. So when I decided to crochet a chair entirely out of knitted tubes, it didn't sound crazy. It sounded doable. I mean, how hard could it be? Knit some tubes, stuff some tubes, wrap a chair, done. I figured I could bang it out in a week, maybe one yarn run, a couple cozy afternoons, a Netflix binge session or two. Fast forward to 4 emergency yarn store trips. Nearly every waking moment for a month consumed by knitting and stuffing over 156 meters of tubing. That's 511 feet, about 1.5 soccer fields, or the length of the entire Seattle Space Needle laid on its side. The final piece weighed 60 pounds. That's more than a small child. I wasn't just crocheting a chair. I basically created a textile monster I couldn't stop feeding. But I didn't know that yet. I just finished a Met Gala project, which took me about a month of very, very intense work. I am desperately in need of a creative palette cleanser. If we haven't met before, I'm Leigh. I'm a self-taught fashion designer and fiber artist. Creating this chair is something that I've always wanted to do. I've had this ridiculous idea in my head now for honestly over a year. I want a puffed crocheted chair. So what I have in mind is to take a chair that I had purchased based on its frame, wrap the entire outside of the chair, creating knitted tubes. I then crochet together around the chair. I haven't done any like fiber art furniture things before. I've done like a rug, but that's about it. So I wanted to check something else off of that creative goals list. This knitted tube is an entire skein of yarn. As I'm crocheting this is a really huge chunky texture, but it gets us this far. So one skein of yarn just gets us to here. I was really tempted to buy some new yarn for this. Please feel free to join me in the like collective eye roll that I deserve for thinking that. I mean, I know we all want an excuse to buy more yarn. It's going to be cotton that we're going to be using. I have this entire cubby here, full thing up here. Most of this is cotton down here. One thing I have not done yet though is use cotton on my knitting machine. This is a flatbed knitting machine. It still is incredibly manual, but basically it'll make this happen very quickly. You do not need to know how to sew or knit or crochet to enjoy this project. This is really just about making something fun and creative together. So you pick how wide I want this to be by picking how many needles I want out. First go, we're just gonna kind of test it out and see if I can remember how to do this. I wanted to use this chunky cotton yarn, which definitely is a choice. This knitting machine is meant for really fine materials. It's all kind of just like a guessing game. First try was a bit of a disaster. Second try, somehow worse. I'm gonna do this again, but I did want to see how this looks from like our knitted side stacked up against the width that I'm looking for. I think it can be tighter. I only have like every other needle out here. So what I'm gonna do is push roll back and I do 70 through 60. Let's try this again. I don't think any of my cotton has any stretch. It's 100% cotton, 0 stretch. So it's gonna be fighting me the whole time. Usually the yarn that you use on a knitting machine like this is something like a wool that does have some stretch in it, but I think it's gonna be worth it and it'll look amazing. After some minor surgery, a rescue was needed. Third time is definitely the charm. I started the day off today doing what I probably should have yesterday, which was cleaning out everything, cleaning all of the little under things in here. I was having lots of difficulty with the simple like back and forth. Now, so much better. I'm sore. If you don't want to do like bench presses, you can just get a knitting machine. It works the same muscles. Now that things are finally flowing, it started to change colors and get into a groove. Francis has come down. I got so much done yesterday, but I also got really warm and was basically like in workout clothes. I just was like over here chugging away doing this, but I have a problem. I always overcomplicate things, and it's really frustrating because it's like at the beginning when I was struggling so much with this, it's like I figured it out, and really it's that my machine only takes yarn that's of a certain size. Anything bigger, and I've just been like muscling it back and forth, but it's like, why? I'm slowing myself down when it's just like one yarn. I'm a ninja on this thing, yet I keep putting yarn combinations that I know are not going to work. Let me know your advice. Not asking you to be my therapist here or anything, but also, how do I stop making things so hard? It doesn't need to be so hard. I want to do the easy option. So today I'm focusing on the easy option. And then something else practical for us to figure out is I would like to understand kind of how much I'm going to need of this. That means I need to turn this into a tube, map that out, and then see in relation to my chair what that's going to look like. Those colors are so fun. Maybe I could sew them around a pool noodle to hold the shape and then fill it with stuffing. This is a fun project. Still, I'm definitely not your guru for what to do with a knitting machine, that's for sure. I'm now just down to one yarn here, and look at that. This I can do all day. This is great. And just when it was starting to go swimmingly, I did this. Basically bent a needle sideways. It's beyond saving, but I'm just gonna scoot everything over one and keep going. Adapt and survive, right? I mean, this project is giving me carpal tunnel perhaps, but also maybe some character development. So I have this very long tube at this point, and I'm sewing it up really nicely over my little pool noodle, but I realized I've probably sewn up too much, and now I'm gonna probably have a heck of a time getting all of the stuffing in there. So now, as impressive as this tubing is, I need to reverse engineer some of my own chaos. Sometimes I think there can be a really fine line between sustainability and hoarding. And if you're somebody who does projects that leave you with scraps, be it yarn or fabric, it's like, you know what I mean. I was collecting all of the fuzz that I was shaving off of a punch needle piece that I had done. Projects like these are great because you do get a chance to finally use some of that stuffing. I was thinking maybe if I did some sort of like a funnel, that might work, like a paper funnel. I have some really nice card left over from drafting the skirt pattern for the Met Gala thing. So we have a funnel. My yarn scraps. So shoving all of this down here is going swimmingly. What I may end up having to do is take out some of my stitches and kind of do this in sections and then re-sew it back up. This is going to be a touch tedious perhaps, but it's like a Sunday. It's really rainy outside. It's watching something weird come together. It's fun. I was genuinely surprised when my pool noodle funnel idea actually seemed to work, at least as a good starting point. And before I knew it, I had my first bit of finished tubing. This guy is fully filled, and I just did a rudimentary chain stitch to get a feel for how much this would turn into. I'm going to use this to do a little bit of math to figure out how many more meters I'd need. Spoiler, I needed a lot. I mean, this is not going to cover the whole chair, right? I undid it all, laid it out, crocheted again. I am learning here that I think less stuffing is more. Turns out the tighter the stuffing, the harder the crochet later on. So note to my future self, looser is better. Okay, so I think that's a good estimate for how far we're gonna get. So my length of my tube needs to be about 5 times my final result length. Around the chair is 265. Then I need to do height, and then each one of these is about 10 centimeters high. 265 times 5.6, 15 meters. Then I need to do 7 more. Maybe we ignore the fact that it basically took me a week to do that first tube. Go time, we need to get this done. So yesterday I did all of this. I measured 750 centimeters or 7.5 meters, which is just 140 centimeters shy of what I did in all of last week. I feel like I'm finally like understanding how to do this, and it's getting faster and faster. I've landed on this cotton that I have from a local yarn supplier. It makes my life just really easy, makes this go really fast. And then I accidentally landed on this very summery feeling combination. So now I'm trying to determine if I should stick with kind of mixing the yarns as I go, or I should start doing a pattern. I have posted that question on the community tab. If you're not subscribed, make sure you are and hit that little subscriber bell thing. It also notifies you when I post on the community tab, and I post really regularly so that I can get your input and feedback and all that stuff. We have a yarn weight and style that works really well, but I've laid out all of it that I have left, and there's not a ton. It's time to do a little re-up on some yarn. One of my favorite things about living in Germany is the fiber art community and the availability of different yarns. This yarn is from a small wholesaler that's about 30 minutes from my house. A friend of mine had worked there when she first moved to Germany, which is how I know about it. They have hours on Wednesdays where the general public can come and shop. I get a lot of my yarn there. Their colors are incredible. Back home. It's one of those days where just like the weather is like, yes, whatever you think the weather is, it's either that right now or it will be in 5 minutes. Just one of those days. But the yarn trip was a success. It was actually really busy there today, but I swear one of these days I'll take you on a little tour. I restocked this cotton that's so lovely. It's such a good price too. I think it's 100 grams and €5. I got more of this blue. I thought that this yellow was really needed, so I got 3 more yellows. I got more of these pink ones, 1 more lavender, 1 more of this really fabulous green. And then this deep maroon is really lovely. Used it up before this project even started, so I got 2 more of those. And I grabbed this one because of the color. This is a Rami wool mix, and I had to look up Rami because I knew it was like a flax or something. It's derived from a Chinese nettle. It's strong and eco-friendly, says the internet, and creates durable, lightweight, and breathable textiles. It's really soft and is 6 times stronger than cotton. That's cool. But our yarn selection is looking really, really good. Hello, I woke up ready today for the workout that I'm assuming that this round of knitting is going to be. So last night / yesterday I didn't get a chance to do any more knitting on the machine, but I did get a chance to wind a bunch of yarn that we got yesterday. The yarn winder that I have did actually come with this machine. Once these are wound up, look how perfectly they fit, and then I can feed it from the center here, and that is how we keep our tension as perfect as possible while we're doing this. Lots to do today. We also have the yarn for it, so yay, we have all the yarn that we need. But here's the thing, you know how I said this was going to be a break from being a designer? Well, now that I found a really lovely repeat that I like, a pattern, now I just want to keep doing that, and I think that's the designer in me that's like, oh, now this will become a cohesive piece if I actually do the colors in a consistent repeating order. I know watching me use the knitting machine is not the sexiest thing on the planet, but it is what took up like 90% of my time on this project. I wanted to give you one good montage to give you a feel as far as what the speed actually looked like. Seven, almost 8, which is pretty good. We're ready for another day of aerobic knitting. This is my workout plan now. We got a lot done yesterday, so it was all of this plus all of this. And these numbers are getting pretty impressive, so I wanted to do a little bit of a checkup as far as where we are and what we still have left to do. It's been easier for me to keep track of things by just looking at 150 centimeter lengths. So I just need 10 of them, 10 150 centimeter lengths for each round, times 8. I will need 120 meters of knitted tubing to do this entire chair. That's a bit wild. So the first week I did 6 of them. Then I have a group of 8 and 4 from yesterday. So we're at a total of 18 out of, we need 80, 18 out of 80. So that's a quarter of the way through. Not terrible, not terrible. Our color story here is really starting to look quite wonderful. It does feel very like Italian vacation to me. I had to swap out another color instead of that true white just because I ran out of it, and so it's a little bit more of a muted tone on a good chunk of this one, but there's no problem with that. I need you to pause for a moment and just acknowledge with me here how much better I have gotten at just using the knitting machine in general. Yeah, it's still kind of a workout, but gone is the Herculean effort that I had to put in when I first started doing this. My 150 centimeter length method made it a lot easier to track progress, because then I could just measure a length, fold over one piece, and figure out how far I'd gotten. Progress was definitely being made, but my yarn supply was dwindling quickly. Time for emergency yarn store run number 2. This time I had to go to just my local regular yarn store on a Saturday. And these skeins aren't pre-wound for the machine, so I had to do a lot of yarn winding before I could get back to the machine and tube making. So it is now the 3rd week of working on this, so naturally I'm eager to get this wrapped up a bit. I just finished sewing up the next length. I was trying to get a better idea of the stuffing amount. Switching to a more uniform color pattern and yarn has made these a lot more consistent and easier to work with as well. I'm very hopeful that this giant pile that I got done over the weekend is going to turn out really well. After having done this for now 2 weeks, everything's getting a lot more efficient, whether it's working with the knitting machine or how I'm sewing up the tubes. I've graduated from using a pool noodle and then a little funnel to stuff them. Now I'm actually sewing them up around a tube that then the stuffing can go in directly, so it's a lot faster. I've also started using stitch markers to help hold the knitting in place so that they don't roll as I'm sewing them up. I learned my lesson on the first round with overstuffing, so I did use less this time, and I'm hoping it goes a little bit further as a result. Once I had the full chair length wrapped with a chain stitch, I began to test the actual crochet pattern to see how it changed the yarn usage as well. Since I wasn't just doing a simple chain stitch for the rest of the chair, this was going to be a much taller, more yarn intensive stitch. I think that looks better. I think that's what we're gonna do. Right now I'm tucking it under this bar here, but since it's starting to go this way, it's gonna hold itself up really quickly, so it's just a matter of time. But for now, I'm just gonna kind of tuck it under here to hold it. And this is the part, the tubing, we're starting to get into where I figured out the color scheme. So I'm excited to see how that looks. I'm really excited for this morning sketching session because I have been doing all of this knitted tube stuffing recently, and I keep coming across, like as I'm putting these stitch markers in here, this motif kind of the holes between the knitwear, and it's given me a bunch of ideas for potentially like a spring collection that I want to sketch out, get out of my head, so I can come back to them at a later date. And yes, this is a massive amount of knit tubing I'm working on. It was a bit overwhelming how much work it was to actually knit and then stuff all of this tubing. I took a pause to explain in a video where this inspiration came from, and really just wanted to hang this up to appreciate how much work this was. Hung on the wall like this could be a fine art piece, but it's not. It's turning into a piece of furniture. And what's just a bit mad to me is that this massive amount of tubing, this incredible amount of work, really was only one round of crochet on the chair. So I have visited the yarn barn yet again. I have so much yarn, so hopefully now I have enough to finish this. I think I got like 5 of each of these. Okay, I think we've officially hit our quota on knitting montages, at least for this week. Part 2 dives straight into the chair build. We've moved from experimenting to executing. This is where the piece starts to take shape. We'll finish the chair, refine the design, and bring the whole idea full circle. So make sure you're subscribed, and we'll see you in just a moment. Someone's like, hey, you've been working out? I'll be like, yeah, I've been machine knitting with too big of a yarn on a too tight of a tension. It's really been working my muscles.